Now we have two more security questions for you. And the first one is, why didn't you choose to have a camera on your Cypher X? So why it's not 100% air gapped?
Yeah, so we have a very controversial take on air gap, to be honest, so far. We don't think air gaps are more secure than normal USB, and I'll tell you for two reasons why. One, the thing is, whenever you design a hardware wallet, you assume that everything apart from the hardware is already hacked, right? So if you, at least that's true for us. So when we designed Cypher X1, we assume that your laptop is already hacked. We assume that your USB connection is also by default hacked, and still your assets should not be lost. That's how we designed it, right? And so that's one thing. So it doesn't matter if it's a USB, if it's a Bluetooth, if it's a QR, at least in the case of CypherOx, your assets are secure as long as the Cypher X1 is secure, right? So that's one piece. And I think that's generally true even for other hardware wallets, right? Because if you thought that your laptop is secure, then you would have been good enough with a software wallet. Why would
For
you
sure.
even need a hardware, right? So when you think about buying a hardware wallet, you assume that your laptop could be hacked. The second piece is with QR codes. What we found was a lot of people do not actually verify the QR itself, right? So they just scan it and they do the transaction. That also becomes an issue, because you have to verify that the QR you are scanning is actually the right one or not, right? What if you scan the QR code which belonged to the hacker, it doesn't really belong to the one that you want to do it. And so it didn't really solve the problem in the first place it was trying to solve, right? So these are, like, I would say, a few problems. Then with QR, the third problem we found out was um, whether we basically like it or not. For chains like Bitcoin, it required a lot bigger transactions in some cases. And for when it comes to QR, the transaction signing user experience is very slow because you have to basically scan multiple QRs. And so that becomes a problem. With USB, it's very fast, right? That's another challenge we found. And the last point that we found was that the air gap theory didn't really work because for almost all of the wallets that we found out, you still needed to use a USB to update the firmware. And so if you are required to update the firmware to USB, then it's not true air gap. For you to build a true air gap device, you need to disable any and every upgrade that is there possible, right?
Yeah.
And because there are always going to be new chains, there are always going to be new features in the Web3 ecosystem, you will require to do a firmware upgrade, right? And firmware upgrades are not feasible through QR at all, right? You have to have a USB because the data is too large for to transfer between.
Yeah, but there are hardware wallets out there which are 100% air gapped, where you do have your micro SD card and everything. So this would actually solve it, but you still think this is not.
Whether you like it or not, Melanie, it's very, very easy to hack a micro SD card. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Okay.
Right? So once you connect it to a laptop, what if your micro SD card is hacked at that time through your laptop? If your laptop is also hacked, if there's a virus that is injected into your micro SD card, that means your micro SD card is also compromised. And now once you insert it into your any other hardware wallet, it will not download that same firmware that you intended to download. So I'm trying to say is, like, again, all of the methods which are there, which people claim that, okay, this is why air gap is secure, those are not theoretically true. And that's the reason why we didn't go ahead with that. So if QR added a lot of security benefits, we would have gone with that, to be honest.
This was really insightful for many of my users, I think so. So yeah, I think this was really insightful to about the security of air gapped or not air gapped. And I'm pretty sure it was also new for many of my audience. So thank you for that, Rohan.